If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, well, welcome to Life of Gaz. Now, I try my best to upload a new video every single Wednesday, and if you want to keep up to date with that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and more importantly ring the bell to get all the notifications.
Hi guys, welcome to Life of Gaz. It's extreme low water, so I've come down here to Chatsworth. It's minus 0.1, so it's going to go out about as far as it's ever going to go out here. And I'm coming down here with high expectations. My fingers are crossed because I went to see my mate Gary. He put a good luck charm on my chest, so let's go and see what that's all about. Well, before we go off on this session today, I've come down here to Fusion Tattoos to see my mate Gary, and let's see what he's got in mind for me, because he said he's got a good luck charm which is going to help me find the fish. So now I'm in here, guys. Gary, let's see this good luck charm.
Well, we've got a lovely, fantastic good luck charm for you this year. Hope you catch some fish out of it. There we go. You're all ready for this.
Oh, I'm never ready for it. Well, that's me done here, and that looks absolutely fantastic. I'm well happy with that. Cheers, Gary, for that.
Welcome very much. Yeah, if you pop in the studio, we'll give you a 10% discount on the Life of Gaz.
Can't argue with that, can ya?
Well, there you go, guys. I hope you heard that. If you go into Fusion Tattoos down on Ableton Street, you quote Life of Gaz, Gary's going to give you a 10% discount, and that is absolutely cracking. He's a great bloke. Make sure you go and see him if you need a tattoo doing. But for now, let's get baited up and let's get fishing. And the tactic I'm using today is a simple one. I'm going to put a big bait out on a 4-0 pennel clip down and see if anything wants to come and nobble that for me. And then on the other rod, because we're at the end of the cod season, we've just got a few flatfish starting to show up. What I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to use a 3-hook flapper rig, and that I'm going to really be targeting those flatfish. Lots of attractors on there, some spinner blades on there, and small baits on a size 1/0 hook. Now on the pennel, something I've not really mentioned before, but I do it all the time, is I lock the top hook in place by giving that about 2 or 3 twists of line around it. Then I poke it through the bait, and that usually holds tight enough to hook into any fish when I strike. Now in this session, what we're doing is we're chasing the tide down. Now chasing the tide down, I tend to follow a very simple tactic, which is wade out as far as I can, cast as far as I can with one rod, and then the other rod, which I'm going to be targeting flatters with, what I tend to do is just throw that about sort of 20 to 30 yards out and just see what else is sort of lying around just at the edge of the surf on the water's edge. Now, with all that being said, I've never seen the bottom down here at this much of a low tide. Like I said at the start, it's a minus 0.1, which means unless you've gone out there on a boat with a fish finder, I wouldn't really know what was down there. So when it comes to wading out, I didn't actually go out too far because this dropped off fairly quickly and fairly significantly. Now here's the other rig just being prepared. You can see the amount of attractors on there. It's all to create movement, and all to entice those fish in. Now all 3 hooks were fished in exactly the same way, and it started off with a whole worm on each hook with all the attractors as well. So when it comes to fishing out here, unfortunately the last 6 weeks have been fairly much of a washout. Now why that's been the case is because we've had massive winds, we've had loads of rain, and all it's done is stir the bottom up, and it's basically just pulled all the bait up out of the bottom. And whether it's scared the fish off or whether the fish are just fat and happy, I don't know. But it is massively encouraging to see this first bite of this session just here on my rod. And this was on the first cast of the session as well. Now when it comes to sort of fishing out here, unfortunately with those winds I have been pretty much biteless the last 2 attempts that I went out, and then I sort of give up for a little bit looking at the catch reports and the weather, but I couldn't resist coming down for this big tide, and hopefully this first bite is a sign of things to come. Unfortunately though, there was no one there this time, but don't hesitate to throw it straight back out to the same spot, because for me that often works. And 15 minutes later, my rod gave a little nod, so I went over to see what that was about. And laying there on the beach was my first fish in I don't know how long. Well, I say I don't know how long, about 6 weeks. It feels a lot longer though. So I was well happy, even though it was only a small flat fish. So let's go over and see what this species actually is. Now it was only small, but he's my first place which I've had in a very long time, so I was happy enough to see him, check out those spots, unhook him, and then take him back to the sea and let him swim off, and I'll get him when he's a bit bigger. Encouraged by that first little place, and as the tide was just getting down to the low water mark, I got my second bite, and this bite I could definitely feel some weight on it. Now although this was only the small rig, I could feel that weight pulling backwards all the time, and it was a telltale of what that fish was going to be, but I didn't know what it was really until it beached up in front of me. And there he is, snaking back through the surf himself, a freshwater European eel. Now these guys, they're born in the sea, they come up our rivers as elvers, and then they migrate back out, I believe, to the Sargasso Sea to go and spawn again. So this one must have been going on her way to breed. So, of course, being an endangered species as well, or a vulnerable species anyway, this one definitely gets released. But as I went over, I noticed there was a bonus flatfish on the bottom hook as well. Now, this is a first for life at Gaz. It's not the first eel I've ever caught, but it's the first one that I've caught whilst filming on my channel. But as you can see here, if you've never caught one of these guys before, they're an absolute handful. They're all really hard to get hold of, and also as well, they're strong and they'll wrap themselves back up your line. So one of the key things is to try not to let the eel damage itself. I don't try and fight with them. What I'll do, if they start trying to wrap up the line, I'll let go of them, let them calm down again, and then I'll go for unhooking again. And we got there in the end and sent this fish back off into the sea. Now as for the flatfish, this one turned out to be the third species of the night, and it was a little flounder. Now flounder got very big mouths, and one of the big problems with catching these guys is more often than not, if I'm using small hooks, they tend to be incredibly deep hooked, which is why what I do is I unhook my rig and I unhook the hook length off of it. Once I've taken the hook length off, I can then thread this down through the gills, turn the hook around, and then work the hook out either through the gills or back up through the mouth. And that's exactly what I did with this fish, enabling me to release this fish and let him swim off to fight another day. Now once I turned that hook around, it was easier with this individual fish to pull it back up through his mouth and bring all the beads and attractors with it as well. Now I do have an idea of how to stop flatfish becoming so deep hooked, but I'm not quite sure how it's going to work just yet. But stay tuned on this channel and look out for some of my up and coming videos once the quarantine's been lifted from this coronavirus. And what I'm going to do is make up some of those rigs and go to a flatfish venue and give it a go. Well, unfortunately, as the fishing was getting better and better, the wind also picked up as well, and we got a surprise burst of energy out of that wind, and we reckon it blew up to probably 60-70 mile an hour, and unfortunately that finished the session for us. But no worries, we will be back out again and we'll be chasing those fish soon.
Well, as luck has it, I accidentally deleted my outro. So anyway, without further ado, big thanks to Gary at Fusion Tattoos for that lucky charm here that broke that blank streak. But if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you keep up to date with what I'm doing by hitting the subscribe button there. Check out my latest fishing video there and my playlist up top.